First off, to let everyone in on the inside joke, we normally do this at a wine bar. Only there's not necessarily an audience once a month, so we'll try not to get ourselves in trouble. And I think we were supposed to do this last year, right, Tim? Which seems like it potentially worked out better with all the things that have happened in a year. So if you're not familiar with this gentleman, Chris Miller is from Iowa City, Iowa. His first career was in Army Special Operations, where he served until his retirement in 2014. He went to work at the National Security Council, Pentagon Special Operations, NCTC, and served as Acting Secretary of Defense at the end of the first Trump administration. More recently, he became, like a lot of folks in this room, an investor and a founder of FPF Defense, which is building low-cost drone interceptors. When I hear low cost, I think, is it actually low cost, or is this like an Anduril low cost sort of deal?
Amen. Don't get us sued already.
Okay.
I just got my liability insurance and stuff.
All right.
Yes.
And on a personal note, as a young soldier and later as an adult, Chris had a profound impact on my life and a whole generation of special operations personnel. He doesn't need to put leader on his LinkedIn profile because we've all worked with him and know who he is. And didn't necessarily go to Harvard or stay in a Holiday Inn Express last night, right? So an actual expert with deep expertise in the field, national security, special operations strategy, tactics, and geopolitics.
Just lots of reps, misguided youth. Where's Tim? Where's Tim? Thanks for assembling the tribe. This is awesome. It's so nice, like, to be around founders. I founded my own company. I do not recommend you do that at the age of 59. You're supposed to do it at your age. You could go on all day. It's just nice to be here. Yeah, so I was like, I'm a good pundit. I talk a lot of shit. And I realized that wasn't helpful to what we're trying to do, which is revitalize the defense industrial base and transform the Department of War, Department of Defense. Now, just to be clear, I still believe in the legislative branch, so I refer to it as the Department of Defense until I'm at the Pentagon, and then it's the Department of War, because I'm a businessman now, so I use whatever I got to do. Had this idea, we used to have this line, no one's coming to help, it's up to us. And it's kind of a negative thing, but that's really the story, I think, of your generation, those of you that served. We got Eric here, Wittrick, who's leading the way. We've got this thing called Soft Action that is that a 501c3 or 4? I can't keep up. Dan Sylvester's here somewhere helping out. We, believe it or not, it's good to be reconnected. That's the glory of this new business that we're in, where you catch up with people. I hadn't seen Dan since we were in ROTC together. Thanks for committing. Garrett Smith's not here from Reveal. I'm repping Boone.
Totally lost control.
What? Yeah, you totally lost control.
Yeah.
So
it didn't take long.
For Garrett, he was scraping the bottom of the barrel. They needed a speaker at his last event. That was my first rich person event. And so I thought it was really funny because I kept talking about the people from Morgan Stanley, and it was JP Morgan. And everybody was laughing. And I was like, I'm killing it, right? And then I get off with Garrett, and he goes, that was so funny, man, the way you were chirping on JP Morgan. I was like, I wasn't chirping. I really don't know what the hell I'm doing. So I want to apologize to JP Morgan, but in all sincerity, those cats are doing something really special with supporting veterans and entrepreneurs. Let's see. Oh, yeah, and I have to apologize to Garrett because we got within, I kicked off. We started the first 30 seconds, I was using the F-bomb relentlessly and kind of took everything off script. So I just want to apologize. Andrew Bartholomew is here from Fulcrum, who is another one who's given back. So thank you all for doing what you're doing, giving back, because no one's coming to help. We got to do it ourselves. Brad absolutely scared the crap out of me when he was talking about it's all about the financials, they don't care about your story. I was like, oh man, I am doing everything wrong. That last panel was the most depressing panel I've ever heard, because I was like, I'm doing everything wrong. Oh my God. So
can I ask some questions? Or
no, hang on, I got one for you. So John and I John was an 18 X-ray, which means he came directly into the Army. And there's this Green Beret song about 100 men they'll test today, only 3 win the Green Beret. Well, for most of us, that's complete bullshit. But for the 18 X-ray program, that's actually the fact. For someone to enlist directly, go through basic training, AIT, jump school, assessment and selection, and the Q course, and come out the other side with their Green Beret is absolutely unprecedented. The thing was, John was on this A-team that we were together in Iraq in 07, 06, 07, whatever. It doesn't make any difference. And John,
whatever the investigation says.
John was on this advanced special operations team. They were spying, Intel Ops Fusion. And so his team sergeant would always make John brief me, because he's like, you're a college boy, go brief the commander. So John used to use when he said sir, it was like a curse word. He'd like, sir. So John, here we are up here, man. Couldn't be happier. Adam Mars here. Thanks for all your contributions in threading us together. He had this insane thing we did 4 years ago, 5 years ago, to help with alternative therapies for those suffering from the effects of combat and war. And it was the stupidest thing I've ever done. My back shot for too many jumps. What did we do? We did 4 miles. What was it again?
4 miles every 4 hours, so 48 miles.
Yeah, it was the stupidest thing we've ever did, but it was fun because it brought the community together. It was I think it was a real transformational event for a lot of us, so thanks for doing that. In closing, I think I've pitched most of you on my new company, and you all passed. It's all right. It's cool. It's cool. We're doing a low-cost interceptor. I have a lot on my mind right now because today, right now, the fellas are out, men and women are out at our test range in Eastern Maryland doing our first live intercept. So I've got a lot on my mind, and we freaking pulled it off, man. So the valuation of my company, you guys can't afford us anymore. So you missed it. It's all right. So, hey, let's go. What do you got?
Okay. Can I be in control now, or?
10 questions, John.
Right.
Let's, John.
Okay, so I figured we're both in D.C. We sit on these things all the time. Policy really such a riveting subject, and we got a lot of investors and operators in the room, so I was hoping we could do some policy questions and then connect
I'm already bored. Go ahead.
connect it to investment and operators, and ultimately where do I go to get a contract and all those things. So first question, some really big policy shifts from 16 to 20 to 24. Can you sort of talk through those and how you see those requirements changing over the past, 8 years?
Yeah, I think for our purposes here in this room, most of us, who's in defense tech versus some other thing? Any defense tech people? Yeah, a lot of you. I think we all, and a lot of the investor community, kind of burn their boats investing in us and this thesis that we're in the midst of a transformation of war. And talk's cheap. It's great to hear the speeches and all the punditry that goes on. I think we'll find out whether this is going to last, but this is a great time for us because in chaos there's opportunity, and that's what really, hey, what differentiates veterans from something else? Oh, there's selfless service, yeah, but it's also being comfortable in chaos, but it's also being able to analyze risk, and that's really important. And right now, there's huge opportunity. What I'm getting feedback from inside is these efforts to transform acquisition are real. Now, will they last a transformation or a transition between administrations, right? Because we're in business now. It's like bipartisan. We need this to continue. Everybody says, the next 3 years, the things you're hearing and this aggressiveness to support non-traditional defense, or not even defense, technology companies is real. And for us, we're really lucky because, Raytheon, the primes, oh geez, a little $100 million contract for a low-cost sensor, we wouldn't even waste, that's not even worth our time. That can absolutely transform our companies. So that's for real, and it's going to keep going. Now, does that answer your question, or you want me to keep talking? I can keep talking.
I think everybody knows about China, right? So that's a very different problem than a special operations problem that we faced for 20 years. So understanding that, do we have what we need? My sense is no. And where should people be putting their time and efforts, whether it's autonomy, maritime, air, AI? How do you see all those things really folding together, and what do you think is the opportunity zone?
Yeah, well, I might have written one time that we should cut the defense budget in half. That was before I started my own company in defense tech, and now I'm like, $1.5 trillion is great, like more is better. So I'm like a complete hypocrite, just to be clear. Oh, you already knew that, John. What I see going on right now is we have to continue the legacy, we have to hedge our bets a little bit, continue the legacy programs. Does anybody here want to like have their kid go out and be an Apache pilot or a tanker these days? Like, doesn't it still frustrate you that when you read the task and purpose and all, and somebody from the armor school has to write their article about like, oh no, the king of battle still exists. I guess king of battle technically is artillery,
isn't it?
But you get the idea. So what I'm saying is the legacy stuff has to continue just because of the economics and the investments that have been made, but we're trying to build a new military off to the side. That's what I'm seeing right now. Now the question is, can the United States afford to do both? I would argue probably our more existential risk is national default on our debt, but that's another question. But right now it seems that there's going to be continued investments at these levels, which then the biggest thing I'm seeing is a difference, and I'm open for questions when we get done, or you can yell at me or throw stuff at me, is the old model where you got SBIR phase 1, SBIR phase 2, and SBIR phase 3 with data rights, and high five, that's the one child that lived from the last panel. I thought that was great. A little dark, but still true. I think that's changed, and what we're going after are these new innovation funds, particularly Technical Readiness Exercise Program and R&E. We're looking in that. The other one is APFIT, Accelerated Production for Innovative Technologies, and all those programs. So what I'm seeing is the universe is shifted, or the polarity of the Earth is shifted from doing a research lab, and I'll give you a little hint here. Those research labs, they already shot the first cross the bow this week, where R&E, Emil Michael, said, hey, we should probably, at the Department of War, Defense, whatever your fashion is, we need to look at how the services are spending their, 901, 902? I always forget the numbers. Their research and development funding. That was a really significant shot across the bow. So what we've seen now is we had the defense innovation chaos, with DIU op doing one thing. Oh, if we can just get a DIU contract, we're set. What was that thing with the? What was the thing with the drones?
Replicator.
Yeah, replicator. What you're seeing is a consolidation of the enterprise, which there were two schools of thought. Most of you are tracking this. One was we have a competitive environment where you have the Strategic Capabilities Office, DIU, and all the services have their own little skunk works. But there's a recognition that it's consolidating, and you're all seeing that right now. So the old way of doing business, if you got in a research lab and you would never ever transition your product or your capability into a meaningful program, I think those days are over, and I think it's going to get a lot tighter. So I think there's new money. There are new areas that we can exploit that normally we would not get the nod to participate.
So I know Ernst has talked a lot about SBIR reform. What does that look like? What does it mean? People sit on different sides of the SBIR argument. There's 67% of the SBIRs that go to 12 different businesses. So do you have any thoughts on changes that can be made? Or what that looks like moving forward, apart from throwing the baby out with the bathwater?
I can definitively say I don't understand the SBIR process well enough. And you generated these questions, so John used ChatGPT. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. He's like, I'm going to ask you about Sybaris. I was like, I don't know shit about Sybaris. I know, I know the general, but
I'm more of an Anthropic
But more importantly, John, Senator Ernst is, well, I'm a Virginian citizen now, but she's my senator. So I would, of course, support what she's doing. She sent a very nice letter. My sister sent a nasty gram about the ICE stuff to Senator Ernst, and she or her intern sent a very nice note back. So I love my senator. John, I'm serious. Like, I just don't feel capable. I'm not in that thing. I do think what's wrong. We're in the okay.
Well, you have
I got a talking point. I got a talking point. We're in
hold
an era
on. No, my turn to ask the question. Okay. So you have a company.
Yeah.
Did you target Sybaris, and if so?
Absolutely not.
Why?
Because my last company, I was with a normal aerospace company, not a startup, and we were all mobbed up. Brian's here, he can talk to it. We were all mobbed up with Air Force Research Lab, and oh my gosh, could not transition our long endurance Group 5 out of AFRL to save our asses. And they just kept teasing us along. And when you're doing your AOP, and you get the, what's the damn book? The J code, the J books, and all this, and you're like, oh, this is great. And you're like, no, we need to transition that. So we made a decision not to pursue, and we're not a software company, right? We are. We're all software companies now to a point. So we decided not to pursue that just because we're like, too much of a long shot.
Got it. You talked about Emil and things that he's trying to do. Does he have the structure in place to be able to accomplish what he wants to do? And what sort of challenges do you think that office faces?
This wasn't on your ChatGPT questions. This is nonsense, John. I'm not prepared for this question. I feel so uncomfortable right now. Hey, I'll tell you what. I was a little skeptical of the private equity crew coming in, the Cerberus crew, and all those people. Like, oh, these are all just number problems. You're like, no, you're dealing with the second largest bureaucracy in the world after the Chinese Communist Party. And, just coming in because you're a good idea fairy and you understand a spreadsheet absolutely has nothing to do with running and trying to transform something like that. I will say, man, they're relentless. And they just don't, and I think it's good for us in this room because it ties back to your first question, John, which is like, is this stuff for real? Well, it's for real until the administration changes. I can tell you that right now. They are absolutely taking no prisoners. They are burning the place down. I remember, who here remembers when the Joint Requirements Oversight Council and JCIDS got established way back when? Remember, in Booz Allen, Hamilton came in and they created the structure. Like, it was brilliant, Booz Allen play, brilliant. They created the architecture, and then for the next 20 years, they freaking basically sold back to the government the process. That was the last time I saw and that was all about jointness. It's happening again but here's the thing, in 2.5 years, like those primes, John, they have battalions of lawyers and attorneys. Like, they just live for finding that loophole and the FAR and all this stuff. So there's going to be a counter-reformation. What we're betting on is that we can thread the needle before the counter-reformation starts. I got to tell you, we're never going back to the old way again, but that was the point about the $1.5 trillion. We kind of got to wean the old system down. That's my assessment. I could be totally wrong, but I'm betting my future on it. I'm betting my family's future on it as well. With did I tell you I'm a startup guy at 60? Holy crap.
On the Second Front podcast, shout out to Tyler. You talked about shifting from R&D funds to procurement funds. Can you talk through that and why that is significant and impactful?
I think everybody in this room's kind of heard my pitch before. The last panel I really enjoyed the last panel, and they talked about how you're getting paid out of O&M, and then that's all great until you try to get longer view and longer funding. right now. I guess that's the other thing we are focused on is as you guys all know, the system flipped on its head. It's no longer top-down driven. You'll do this. It's very much organic from the brigade level and up. And I think brigade commanders now are getting like 25 million. Used to be what you get like $25,000 of disposable income that you could buy on like, cool boots and black nylon stuff. They've got a huge amount now. So what we're doing in another company, and we've been successful so far, is you get in with the brigades and the divisions and you prove your FPV or you prove your software suite. So what we're trying to do is you got your user demand, right? And then we'll come in at the top too, at the Pentagon and try to do a push-pull routine. So it has fundamentally changed and it provides opportunities. The key thing is I don't need to tell all you people in this room is how do you connect that O&M funding, which is great, you're like, holy crap, man. We just like sold, $10 million worth of product to, 11th Airborne Division, and that's all well and good and it looks great now, but it's not sustainable, right? So, but if you got a good product, and I read that, actually, it was an article on the way here, where if you can then replicate that and you can drive that demand signal. So that's another change that I've seen, and I've been doing this since 1983, so I got a few reps. I know I look like I'm a lot younger.
Sure. Can you take your startup hat off and put your investor hat on for a second?
I don't. I've only invested. I've only invested in 2 companies because I've been poor. Because did I tell you that I was in the government for 40-something?
But you recently joined Fulcrum with Andrew Bartholomew.
Uh-huh.
Apart from counter-drone technology, what would excite you as an investor to invest in?
Wow, another non-chat GPT question that I should have on the top of my head. Well, nobody solved the swarming autonomy thing because of swap stuff. Whoever solves
on the
that,
ground or in the air?
both. Whoever solves that's going to literally be sitting on the next. A unicorn's $1 billion company. What's $1 trillion company? Come on, you guys. This is your world. You got nothing for me. What do you call $1 trillion valuation? Elon Musk. No. Wow, that was kind of. We're getting nowhere, man. This is not working, John. This is not working. Holy shit, this crowd. All right. So, yeah, whoever solves that problem, I think, I don't need to tell you, a lot of people say don't vertically integrate on the low-cost parts that you need for drones because just let it go. I still think there's something there. I mean, when you're doing brushless motors that last 1,000 hours and you're like, no, I need it to last like an hour and a half, probably over-engineered. There's a huge opportunity there. Sensors, I'm all into sensors, low-cost sensors. Here's the thing, here you go, like, wow, we can get this sensor that's good for hypersonic missile tracking, and we're like, no, we're just trying to destroy a damn drone that's going like 100 miles per hour. I think that's a little extra that we need. So whoever figures out how to build a low-cost sensor for kind of the drone thing is going to absolutely kill it. Primes aren't going to do it. Why would they gut their market, right? That's the other thing I'm looking at. Rocket engines. Love me rockets. But damn, everybody here in this room knows doing explosives, that shit is hard. Oh yeah, we actually do some explosives, don't we?
We do.
Yeah, oh no, it's easy. I was at Neoprime X. This is easy. You guys are just lame. You're like, oh, we're lame. Okay, go ahead and get your ATF license to store your explosives in your backyard. Good luck with that.
All right, let me try and bring the train back onto track.
I'm trying to run the clock out, man. We got 4 more minutes until we can. 5 more until questions.
What do you? So, in working with investors and pitching investors, what do you think are some of the common misconceptions from a policy level all the way to what actualizes into a contract or a market that typical investors don't understand?
Well, John, to be clear, the investors read a blog post in the Wall Street Journal that day that talks about Neoprime such and such is genius. So that's the depth of their understanding. But they're the smartest people in the room, and we have to like kiss their butts because we need their money. So we have to be nice, and we're like, oh yeah, that's a really good point. We never thought about like, oh, who's our competition? Oh God, that is such a great question. I really have found the depth of understanding, particularly about defense, in the investor community to be lacking, and that's why I think it is effective to bring former military people on that actually understand the market, understand the process. I think it's extremely valuable. So that the biggest one is we always go and pitch with 3 CTO. I'm the big hand wave, I'm the happy-go-lucky. Cup is half full. Look at this great opportunity. And as we heard last panel, no one cares. All they care is about the finance. Bring in the money person that knows all the tam, mam, blam, blam, blam. And then we've got
Sam and Sam?
Yeah, and I knew that.
Okay.
Dude, I actually got online and learned that. And then,
It's a ChatGPT
then of
thing?
course, in the last panel was great too. You got to have your tech person there because really most of these things, that's your differentiator. It's going to be cost, speed, price, right? Cost and price, same thing. So bring your CTO in who can like just punch them right in the throat. But I'm not. You said it the other day. Last time we were having our mentorship session, he mentors me. He's like, hey, I finally get my pitch down. I said, John, it's been a year. He goes, yeah, I'm finally figuring it out. I've only been doing it for 4 or 5 months. So it's always try to read the room is my thing because we're Green Berets and we like over obsess about human nature and shit, So you're like watching, and that's why I love using FPF Defense because right away you can look in there and you're just begging like, I know there are only 7% of veterans in America right now. Please have one of them on the call. And if you say FPF Defense, right away they get it, final protective fire. And then you're like, lifeline, thank God.
Okay.
No, I mean, I don't need to tell you. It's
Very passionate founder, clearly.
So it's so hard to translate that, and that's why I think going in with the team, and then we just observe, like when we're in New York or Silicon Valley, like I just do the scene setter, the big hand wave shit, nobody cares, and they want to dig into the tech or the money.
Yeah, conversation for a different time, but West Coast, East Coast VCs, totally different way.
Oh, I thought we were going to talk about rap wars.
No.
That would be very interesting. I'm going to interrupt
Hold
you
on.
again. No, I'm interrupting you. Go ahead. What do you got? I was going to say, though, John.
I'm glad I came up with notes for this
No, I was going to
session.
say.
Jesus.
But you brought up something really that I hadn't thought about, which is the West Coast, East Coast thing. So when we're in New York, our finance person absolutely takes lead. But I was talking about, in Special Forces, those of you that have been in Army Green Beret, there's this thing called the culminating exercise called Robin Sage, where you go out and you pretend you're like parachuting into northern France, after D-Day or before D-Day, and you have a resistance force that you bring together. And the key thing is getting into the G base, the guerrilla base. That's who your client is. And you have to do whatever is required to make that establish that rapport with the leader, and that's why I use that technique. So, if you can tell right away, oh, they're finance people. I just shut up, because
makes sense.
Because CFO is going to get us in the G base.
Let me try and put us back on track with policy here. So
we'll go fast.
I saw Hegseth, Secretary of War/Defense, talked about eliminating the 8A program. Do you think that there are impacts to small business that will come from that? And what do you think are still the barriers that exist for small business to get in and work with the department?
I'm a big 8A fan. Is this going to go public? Am I not going to be? Are they
I don't
going to
know.
take my badge from the Pentagon?
It's kind of late to ask if we're on tape.
I'm like 8A. What the heck? I mean, solid program and something that is in your menu of capabilities, right? I understand why they're doing it. They're kind of doing the whole, war fighter ethos or whatever. So, what was your question?
It's going to go away potentially.
I was trying to dodge it. 8A.
So let's say it goes away. What other barriers do you see that still exist for a small business?
Well, something new will have to be created. That's why I'm focused on the innovation funding and the new shops that are doing that, because it's just like, all right, man, you're triggering me. I mean, you're a founder and you're like, oh, if I can just get in front of the customer, they're going to get it. And it's just so doggone hard. So how do you do that? And then you're running lean, so it's not like you can go to every one of these stupid demonstrations / technology readiness exercises that you have to pay out of pocket. You're like, oh, it's 50 grand. Like, holy shit, that will drive. Like, that's my whole marketing budget for the next 5 years. We were thinking of getting cool coats, and now I've got to spend it on transportation to go out there and not even get something on the backside. What we're trying to do, one of the initiatives I'm trying to work with the Pentagon is like, hey, for small companies, you got to reimburse for that. Like, it can be a flat rate or something. You can build it into your plan, then you can build it into your model. But what's going to replace it? Something will. I just don't know.
Got it. You talked about the counterterrorism industrial complex. What is it? Your thoughts were counterterrorism industrial complex versus winning. And then what I would like to know, because I have the thoughts, and my answer will be no, is SOCOM and JSOC still a good customer understanding the adversaries that we are facing or competitors?
Could be, and we've got some SOCOM people here. That's actually a good point. In the old days, get into SOCOM, use your relationships, get a small contract, and then you blow that thing out and get it to the services. I don't think it exists anymore. I think SOCOM is really on their ass, to tell you the truth, about innovation, and they have the special authorities. I see it becoming extremely. I think the Marine Corps is doing great. I think some pockets in the Army are doing great. So to answer your question, I think SOCOM is rudderless right now. Obviously, I mean, greatest raid in the history of. It's going to go down there with like Trojan horse thing, like what they did against Maduro. I mean, unbelievable operation, just from a military standpoint. But I still think there's a little I still think there's a little lack of. Remember, John, SOCOM is always in crisis about what's the meaning, what's our meaning. I've been pushing OSS 2.0 for years, Office of Strategic Services 2.0. Let's get in the economic warfare game. We've got great access placement. We got really, really smart people. I'm not in anymore. We as a country, I guess we should say that, we as a country have unbelievable talent in there, and I think it's getting a little, it's getting a little fusty, and I think it's getting a little tired. And what I would like to see is, we can't afford $1.5 trillion a year for much longer. I mean, it's insane that we're spending that much. I think I gave you my thesis of why we're doing it. But the operational concept, we have none right now. It's just like, from the military standpoint, just do a little of everything. I really think, we can buy down risk and footprint overseas by using special operations intelligence professionals as our global scouts, and then have a force that's ready to get pulled forward rapidly, phased. So that's the kind of things that I wish was coming out of the Pentagon, as opposed to more, platitudes, more, PR stuff.
For folks that are in the building now in the Pentagon, what should their major takeaway from Ukraine be? I realize this isn't on the list. I just thought of it in my head.
I'll tell you what I think. The age of maneuver is dead. The U.S. military believes that maneuver creates decisive advantage, and we still are continuing down that road by buying all these weapon systems and how you integrate fires and all this stuff. But I mean, does anybody think that you could actually put together a combined arms force to break through and take territory right now? I think absolutely we're in the historic back to the power of the defense. So they still continue, the legacy people still continue to believe that maneuver exists. It'll come back. I don't know what that's going to look like. I love that book. Pressfield wrote The Profession. great book about the future of war, and what they do there is you can establish a bubble of combat capability over one formation, and it's constantly degrading, but you can get so far and then it degrades and you disestablish and everybody just flushes again. So you're constantly trying to recreate these bubbles of combat capability. That's really expensive, and I don't know if that's gonna work.
Let's shift gears.
I
So,
thought we had to take questions.
well, we have 5 minutes. You're supposed to keep us on task, Adam. All right.
Back to you. I haven't looked at my notes.
That's obvious.
Thank you,
Yeah.
John.
Yeah. Last question. So you exit the military. You've been in a couple different companies at this point. In various articles and podcasts, you've talked about organizational debt. So we have a whole bunch of people out here who are probably in startups, and many of them are probably veterans. I think some
I
of
thought
us.
it was a veterans conference.
Yeah. I think some of us are really blessed with being in great organizations with really great leaderships. That doesn't always exist sometimes in the startup world. So how can veterans subtly or not so subtly push to have the right organizational structure in place? And what do you think veterans can take away from their experience when they're building companies as far as how the companies should be constructed?
Wow, I'm messing it up every day, so I don't think I'm probably
That's called iterating.
helpful with that. But I do think, I think that is one of the competitive advantages that veterans do have, is understanding I talked about assessing risk. I think that's really, really an important point, but you're talking about organizationally. I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, you want me to tap dance? I'll tap dance.
No.
You guys want me to tap dance? No, you're good.
Well, so we've got, I think, 15 minutes left because the MilVet folks are going to come up and talk.
Everybody wants their time back.
Yeah. I'm also a big fan of being popular and breaking early for lunch. So should we open it up for, open it up for questions, and then if I could go ahead and ask you one final question before we leave. All right. Let's do it.
Sir, yes, sir.
Hey, Chris,
Good
and
day.
John, thanks for doing this. You sat in a seat, and you know what the Pentagon's like. I think there's not going to be any real substantial change there because guys roll in and out of there, in uniform roll out of there every 2 years. Everybody else is some GS, 6 smoke breaks a day, they got their pension. What impetus do they have to change anything? Because they really don't have, they're going to wait everybody out. So how do we get rid of those people in the Pentagon?
I think that's it. We all know the terminal GS9 who's like, oh, geez, went home or, whatever.
Is it a question of waiting people out or just properly assigning incentives and motivations so that people can make decisions?
Well, I think what we're seeing is Golden Dome is going to be the beta version. That's the proof of concept. Like that's what is going to be the new RDT&E process. They're using that. So what I see happening is the Golden Dome has all these different authorities and stuff. They're literally cherry picking all the good people that we all know because there are only like 4 of them. Like everybody knows the OTA lady at Rock Island, right? She is the best in the entire Department of War. And so she does all the OTAs, not all of them. So Golden Dome is going to become that is the test bed. So that's why $1.5 trillion, we're building something new under the guise of this one thing. And that's why it's not crazy. The DepSec war, Feinberg is trying to structure, portfolios and all that stuff. So now the question is, will that last, right? I don't know. I thought we'd get a lot more pushback from the Hill for wasting money, but because That's what the Department of Defense does. It seems there's a tolerance for the next couple of years to understand that we're going to throw a lot of money at these problems. We're going to waste some money, but it's all right if we can get the end state, if we can get through this. But so I'm not focused on the legacy offices because of what you said. It's just like, now I thought Doge was the thing, you know, it was kind of the shot across the bow. Hopefully that kind of cleared it out. I personally think the Department of Defense, I think there are 1 million civilian employees. Let's take it down to 400,000. I think we could probably, there's this thing called AI now and stuff. Like, why don't we, you know, I think they're trying, but again, the status quo, I don't need to tell you guys this. I mean, there's so much money and there's so much people that want to maintain the status quo that are going to fight. And it's going to come down to counter-reformation. And then obviously you brought up China, John. Like, you know, Davidson window, 27, we love the Davidson window, even though Xi just fired all the generals, so I can't tell what's happening now. But you know, the ultimate question is are we going to be able to transform fast enough to face the next conflict? I don't know. I mean,
there's the Economic Defense Unit that's never been done before.
groundbreaking.
So for everybody that thinks that nothing is changing, Ryan Linder does $10 billion of deals a month for equity in everything from critical minerals to mining to offshore assets. That's never been done before. So I think it's like, yeah, there's a lot of folks that don't want to see, things change. But there are also people that are doing, really great things, and it took us a while to get here. So to expect it to do a 180 like an iceberg,
You're an apologist, John. You've never been that way. You've always, wow, how things have changed. We got a question.
So my question is, we've got a lot of focus on technology, and rightfully so, but I look at sort of our mixed results and accomplishment post-World War II. The problem wasn't that we didn't have technology. Basically, the adversary waits us out. We have the watches, they have the time. Even in Ukraine, if we stopped giving aid right now, Russia, with their lack of technology, lack of sophistication, would eventually overrun Ukraine. So the message is, wait us out. How do we fix that aspect, which is more of a national problem? War goes beyond 6 months. The American people go, oh, God, we got to get home and all that kind of thing. Secondly, the Secretary of War talks about lethality, but yet, we don't, some of the things we used to do in World War II, we wouldn't do today. And Saddam's army was not more competent than the American army. He just liquidated an entire town if you dared rise up against him. So how do we kind of address these sort of realities while being able to, we won't do certain tactics while also understanding the national willpower isn't necessarily there for sustained conflict?
Well, I used to buy in that too, and we did 19 and some change years, and and remember the whole narrative was oh my God, the American public doesn't have the willpower to do a prolonged war. We just went through the longest war. A lot of you in this room carried the burden, and your families. So, I'm kind of that used to be common thinking that clearly, because man, do not screw with the United States of America. We just want to be left alone.
do we?
And if you screw with us, it's we are going to rip your face off. I mean, an 17-year-old kid with a rifle is the most terrifying thing the world has ever seen. So I would just offer, let's not do, this sounds cliche, but let's not do stupid wars anymore, right? We really need to be deliberate about how we apply combat power, but that's why I want to come back to my thing is let's use regular warfare tools, cyber, all this other stuff, the Sun model of war, right? Instead of being Clausewitzian, and hey man, it's working for the Russians. They're just attrition works. I mean, obviously. So how do you reestablish optionality if you're planning for a war? In the past, it's always been, we guarantee air superiority, lost that fundamentally now, doesn't exist. 3 Americans killed 2 years and 2 weeks ago, last year at Tower 22. First Americans killed since 1952 by enemy air attack. That shit's over. So we've got to figure out another way than combined arms. What I always tell, I got a good laugh line on this one, hey, make everybody think they need to fight combined arms warfare because we're the only people in the world that can do it because it's so expensive. So I want to use more deception. I want to use more deceit, those types of Sun Tzuian things, because that's kind of the strategic culture we're facing. So why are we doing what they want us to do is my thing. And that doesn't really answer your question, but it fundamentally is about changing the way we think about warfare and how we are going to do it. I don't think I answered your question, but it's good enough. Yes, sir.
Secretary Miller.
Just Chris now.
All right, Chris. I think you mentioned how drone swarms and drone AI swarms are going to be the next trillion-dollar company. I would like to coin that they'd be called a Pegasus. But you also mentioned how the DoD is very slow in acquiring new technology. So I want to know, how will America be able to acquire this new technology and operationalize it faster than our adversaries?
Right. On the way in, I read this great article about our failure for the improvised explosive device war we fought last time, and now they call it, these are flying IEDs. The challenge there is like the old IEDs, like it was stationary. This damn thing's gonna come find you. Gonna come find you ass, which adds a whole new layer to how you operate and fight. So it's like we haven't. Here's my answer, and it's actually getting some traction because I used to get laughed at about this. Is just like we talked about flipping innovation on its head. Give money to the warfighters, and they're kind of doing that now. The Army's kind of doing it, like 4 years too late, but that's another conversation, is like, let's have a competition in the field with the units and the kids that have to use those weapon systems, and let's have a meritocracy of technology, whatever works. For instance, there's a company that I will not say because I don't want to get sued, that prides itself on having great quadcopters, and the kids in the field freaking hate the thing. Software's bulky. Had these kids, and you're not supposed to call them kids, but they are kids. It's like, oh yeah, brigade commander's pretty pissed. I spent $5 million. I bought 25 systems. None of them worked. A little pissed at me. So now he bought them online on the marketplace. Now, of course, they go out, every vendor, and test fire before they buy. We've got to push that innovation down there and allow for failure, obviously. And I said Congress hasn't blown us up yet. Like Solarna, remember there hasn't been a major failure yet. There's going to be, but ultimately, we got to tolerate that, Sergeant Jones is probably going to waste some money, but we're going to get the truth, I think, about what works and how to integrate it. And so what I'm saying is,
why does it have to be a sergeant?
Because
it seems like something a lieutenant or a captain would do.
John, you of all people, of course it's going to be the sergeant. It's going to be the sergeant that's going to figure the crap out, right? Because he's the one that's in the middle. He's the one who's got those 4 other kids that are on his team, that he's going to figure it out because he's got skin in the game. You guys, many of you already know this.
Go ahead.
No, okay.
No,
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I'm pretty sure he was up there first.
Oh, sorry, John. I didn't mean to.
All right, Chris,
all right.
Thank you for your time.
11 minutes.
I'm part of the Hacking for Defense program at UC Berkeley, and this semester we're tasked with solving the problem of neutralizing small explosive drones. And a problem that we're running into with our research and problem solving is that the U.S. Army and the DoD and the Pentagon has been so slow to respond to this UAS problem. And I want to hear from your experience, why is that? Is it a doctrinal thing? Is it like a legacy thing like you talked about? What exactly is slowing the U.S. Army down so much?
Can you define slow?
So obviously, Russia-Ukraine war has been happening for a few years now,
Sure.
and the technology there has been advancing so fast. And we've interviewed our U.S. Army personnel from division commanders all the way down to platoon sergeants. Their best solution is shooting at it with an M4, which is shocking to us when we first discovered it. So why has there been no solution proposed that's effective for the U.S. Army when they know this is a problem that they're dealing with?
Yeah, but you said they're slow to respond to you. So is it like days, weeks, months, like?
Like the actual development of the technology.
Oh, okay, I got it.
Yeah. Well, what you've studied it. You tell us. No, seriously, like you have an answer. I think it would be better for, I could give you the song and dance about the nature of, bureaucracy, and we could talk about Max Weber and all this crap, but that's not what you're looking for. You've done the interviews, so what do you think it is? I'm much more, because you got to solve the problem. Like, I'm old. Oh, did I say I started my own company to solve this problem because it's so egregious that American kids are going to get killed because we're not iterating fast enough. But tell me what you've learned.
So right now we're running into a problem of understanding if it's a doctrinal thing from the top down, because our problem sponsor themselves is a company commander, and he's reached out to us basically saying that this is an issue that there's no technology at the company level, there's no support from the higher echelons to assign them a protection unit, air protection unit when they go out to do their mission, and we're trying to understand exactly like from the top down, right? How are they approaching this problem?
Well, I'll give you the history lesson in 30 seconds or less, because remember, we're an industrial age military that you taught doctrinal PF, this whole process that has to be followed because heaven forbid, the Navy bought like a couple hundred autonomous boats and then the Navy comes back and like, what do we do with them now? Who's going to maintain them? Blah, 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 blah. And we're like, yeah, figure it the F out. Like, I don't care. Throw some more money at it. It's not, but there's this industrial age mentality that actually makes sense for tanks and fighters and all that stuff. Obviously, you need to have you just can't let company commanders pick out what kind of close air support aircraft they're going to have. But for these smaller, these more tactical things, I'm just like give them the opportunity and the authority to go try stuff out and figure it out. But it literally flips the. When did World War I? World War II was like 80-something years ago. I mean, we're literally built still. Argue with me. Anybody argue with me? Our doctrine and our process is built on the World War II mass army, and what we're facing now is a decentralized fight where, the strategic corporal, is going to decide this thing. So give them the tools and give them the latitude to do it. And we can't, literally, remember, for the longest time, you could only wear one type of boot in the Army.
Hey, let's, we got two more questions. I want to try and keep.
Oh, he pulled my chain. He did that on purpose. That was good.
I mean, once we start talking about,
that was a good question.
When we get to boots.
That was a good question. Thanks.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much. I had a two-part question. One of them is actually for a friend of mine. He has a drone company, and he works for Northrop. He does contracts for them, but he has his drone company on the side. We know that we're moving away from Chinese drones like DJI and whatnot, but there's the issue of supply, right? And a lot of the components are still from China or elsewhere. I'm trying to figure out if we're going to be able to do this and build it here in the U.S., what are some of the incentives for people to, not only the cost is going to go up, but what kind of incentives can the government provide to companies that want to develop it or outsource it from here in the U.S.? I guess you guys could figure out which one. And then I have the second part question is regarding, right now, there's a lot of analysts out there that are specifying that we're now moving into a multipolar world where the hegemony of the U.S. is going now towards other countries becoming more hegemonic. And how will that play out in the future for this, how things are going to be kind of rolled out? I mean, I know there's BRICS with the other side of what they're doing. There's the U.S. dollar that's people are talking about as well. What's your thoughts about all that?
All right, last question first. Hey, I'm all about Kantian perpetual peace. We're in an era now, an epochal change in the geostrategic, geoeconomic, all this stuff that you know. Hey, it's only going to get worse, right? We're going back. Nothing we can do about it. We all think oh well, if we do this, we can control history. We can't control history. That's way bigger than us. Unfortunately, if you're in the defense tech industry or defense industry, war is our business and business is going to be good. I think that's horrible, but that's the fact of the matter. So this isn't going away anytime soon. Like the daffodils aren't growing and the birds chirping and shit, and we're all gonna like kumbaya. This is going dark. I mean, and we're at the first inning, to use mixed metaphors. It's gonna get really, really bad. And so we can adjust to how we respond to that, obviously. Now your drone question, simple. Incentivize. If the government would just, and they did recently with drone dominance, down selected 25 companies to provide at scale in this tiered process, provide a consistent demand signal that we all can plan with, and that way the companies that are trying to build, we can reshore a lot of those DJI products and Chinese-made stuff. Over to you, John.
I would say not a very well-known thing, but one of the things that China's really good at are the engines, and that's engineering, like traditional mechanical engineering, and that's just not something that academia has put a focus on. So that would help as well.
Wow, that was depressing. Boy, that question just kind of brought me down.
Go ahead.
Yeah, gentlemen, thanks for doing this.
We didn't have a choice.
Yeah, right. So as a former operator and aspiring entrepreneur, one of my biggest bottlenecks personally, and I know that I'm not the only one, is that through my operational experience, I've been able to think through and iterate on and kind of observe this golden age of entrepreneurship towards defense tech. There are a lot of really smart minds that want to solve a lot of imperative problems. For somebody like me who's seen behind the curtain, it's an interesting juxtaposition to see what's being built, what's being worked on, and as an entrepreneur or aspiring entrepreneur, to not have a solid visibility as to product market fit, in the sense of, I don't know if what I want to start, which must be done to win the war against China, just as an example, is already being worked on. Now, without breaking classification barriers or impeding on national security, how can the government facilitate solving the problems that need to be solved that can't be fully talked about?
That's a big question.
John, you're smarter than I am. You summed it up. The thing that scares the crap out of me every single day, because I get like 85, have you seen this new Shahed interceptor? And I'm like, oh, I'm out of business. Oh shit, because somebody else is in stealth working the project that I'm not aware of. Like, I'm working this one customer base. We got sensors, human sensors everywhere, but I'm totally with you. Like, your question is, how do you burn the boats and decide to do this when you're putting your reputation, you're putting your financial well-being at stake, and shit, there could be somebody in the next office park over, industrial park over, that's doing the same thing that's 6 months ahead of you. Is that your question?
That is the question.
John?
I think like the unit medals, which are their mission essential task list, like, hey, what am I in charge of, typically are not classified. So like, I would start off with, hey, is someone, just go to them, hey. I mean, you have the network, right? Is someone working on this? And then I think from a policy standpoint, whether it's the military or the agency, everything is overclassified. I would like to see some sort of reform as far as the ability for folks to classify things and overclassify things and create SAPs that don't need to be SAPed.
Awesome.
I'll tell you what I do, and this is not, so don't do it.
We've got like 90 seconds left.
Don't do it.
Make it fast.
Like, I go to the customer at the Pentagon and say, I am asking for this much money from people I don't know, and they're putting their faith and confidence that I know what I'm doing, that I know the market. I need you to tell me that you're not working me, that if we deliver this capability you ask, you're not going to go, oh, hey, the Army already did it. Ha ha ha. Sorry for you. So I have, and it came up in the last session, is like, I have that conversation, like, and it depends. If you're in the right if you're with the right customer, they'll tell you. They're like, nope, you guys, if you can deliver this capability at this time, you will win. So maybe that's a technique. I don't know.
I mean, also, if you were an end user and you know there is a need, you're the end user. Like if I'm pitching an investor, you're the customer, right?
good.
So
That's a really good point. And last panel was like, hey, get somebody that's already in is coming out of that market space. Like when they first said that, I kind of got a little icky, but then I was like, no, that's exactly the right thing. Is you offer the opportunity for somebody that is really embedded into that. I don't think we answer. You got some secret spook shit you're doing that you can't even tell us about, man. So how are we going to give you money?
Yeah, totally. I can start
We
any
lost
of
the
this.
crowd.
The issue is putting the energy in towards the R&D that may or may not be done already. You know, that's just kind of the overall question, but it'll be fun to talk to people about that. So,
Good luck, man. Thanks for doing it. It's the hardest thing you'll ever do. John, I'm literally like, I'd rather be back in Solder City with you and your dumb ass calling me sir all the time like it's a curse word than having to go through another day of highest highs, lowest lows, 8 times a day. I started smoking again. I haven't smoked since Solder City. I'm like smoking like a pack of cigarettes. My wife doesn't know. I keep thinking, is she going to smell this on me?
okay.
Like, hey, you're going for walks a lot, Chris. You're going for walks a lot, Chris. And I'm like, just getting some exercise.